Hi, I'm Jefferson Drexler, and this is Parent Like You Mean It, the podcast where we talk about, parenting with intentionality. Parenting in such a way where we try to get ahead of the curve just a bit so that we're prepared when the inevitable chaos that life and our kids bring our way. Now, a long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, a long time ago, I was in junior high. And when I was in junior high, music and music videos were at the very center of my entire universe. And not just mine, but every other junior higher and high schooler back in the 80s. To paraphrase Grace at Glenbrook North High School, all of us, the sportos, motorheads, geeks, wastoids, dweebies, and so on, we all wanted our MTV. And my personal favorite was the King of Pop. I mean, I knew all of his moves, I knew all of his lyrics, owned all of his records and tapes. The first concert I ever attended was the Jackson's Victory Tour. Of course, that was all long before HBO released Leaving Neverland. For those of you who are still unaware, that's a documentary about a couple of kids who at one point were like me, but they really did get to meet Jackson, and well, MJ's reputation has been infinitely tarnished, and now he's referred to as more than just the King of Pop. Well, now he's former pop star / serial abuser. Now, in addition to singing and dancing to Michael Jackson, another favorite pastime of mine back then was breaking out some of my dad's old comedy records and laughing my butt off while I mimicked and recited classic routines like Buck Buck, Street Football, and of course, the Noah trilogy. That's right, even before he created America's once favorite dad, Cliff Huxtable, I was a huge fan of Bill Cosby. Could I pick him or what? As I grew older, as I went into college and adulthood, my tastes in entertainment, they evolved. I graduated to the point of enjoying and even quoting movies like Pulp Fiction. I learned to play poker after studying Matt Damon in Rounders. I marveled at the grandness of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And as a dad of young boys, I had Spy Kids and even Ella Enchanted constantly repeating on the minivan DVD player. Of course, these are just a small sampling of the movies that I've enjoyed over the past couple decades, but for those of you who didn't see the pattern, they're all films produced by the notorious Hollywood producer / sexual predator, Harvey Weinstein. You see, I bring all this up not to show that I may have really poor taste in entertainment choices, but to ask these three questions. One, is Thriller still one of the greatest albums of all time? Two, are the stories of the Huxtable family, Fat Albert, or Noah asking his neighbor, "How long can you tread water?" Are they still funny? Can I still sit down with my kid with a bowl of popcorn and watch Paddington, Spy Kids, or Lord of the Rings? In other words, if someone does a terrible, horrible thing, do we erase from history all of the great things that we once appreciated? Or on a more personal note, forget about the people of the entertainment world who likely we'll never meet. What do we do when a personal mentor goes off the rails? You see, I had a buddy who took me under his wing for a number of years, and he got me through some really tough times. He taught me some extremely valuable lessons and perspectives on parenting and marriage, how to care for those in extreme need, new approaches to studying the Bible, and even several lessons on basketball. And then he fell. He fell harder than a lead balloon. But what am I supposed to do with all those nuggets of wisdom that he bestowed upon me? Are the praiseworthy principles that he revealed no longer true because the messenger was corrupted? Can purity of truth exist even in the midst of pure evil? Now, honestly, I've pondered these questions for years now, and I've asked wise sages with much higher pedigrees and pay grades than me how to approach these conundrums. And one common comment is that I should have never placed mere men on such lofty pedestals. At some level, and at some point in time, all men are bound to falter and fail. None of us are perfect. No, not one. And that's cool, but wait a minute. What does that mean for my kids? You see, I clearly remember a moment in time when my oldest son was 3 years old. We were playing around and he was mesmerized by how I could make his Hot Wheels car disappear and then reappear out of his ear. And each time I'd do this trick, we'd laugh until our sides hurt. I realized that moment that I was hands down the funniest person that my son knew at that point in his life. A couple nights later, he searched all over the house for his missing stuffed bear. And as a last resort, he asked me to check behind his ear. Surely that's where all lost toys were discovered, right? And it dawned on me, I'm not just the funniest man in this little guy's life, I'm the greatest man in this poor kid's life. Man, was he destined for disappointment. I knew then, and I know now, that I'm far from perfect, nowhere near perfect. I get angry, I say things that I shouldn't, I drink beer, I throw things, and that's just while watching my Chiefs on any given Sunday. The hard truth is, we parents will inevitably fail our kids at some point in time. God willing, nowhere near the level as Jackson, Cosby, or Weinstein. But our very nature dictates that we will fail at some level. And through the eyes of our kids, a failing grade is a failing grade. So what if they treated us just like our society has treated Michael, Bill, or Harvey? What if they completely erased everything that we ever taught them, provided for them, or enjoyed with them prior to our stumbles? Wouldn't it be consistent of them to do just that? Luckily, we have the opportunity to apologize to our kids and make things right. We have the ability to humbly approach them with open arms that can become a high five and then a hug. You see, my son, who couldn't find his teddy bear, is now at the stage where he's misplacing his car keys. And while I may no longer be the funniest, nor the most talented, nor the wisest, and far from the greatest man that he knows, I still have the greatest job of anyone that he knows. I'm his dad. And it's important for me to teach him how to deal with failure. Not just the failures of our cultural icons, but of our loved ones, our family members, our friends, his brothers, me, and his own failures. Now notice, I didn't include my wife in that list because, well, she's practically perfect in every way, but that's for another episode. Anyway, all of this culminates to this point. We are all going to fail. We all want to be forgiven, and we all want to be offered a chance to make things right. Now, it may be too late for some. I'm not saying that all failures are equal. Some, to be sure, are so egregious that they require incredible consequences. But even in light of this, truths are still true. Purity is still good. Honesty is still virtuous. And if we hope and pray that our kids will forgive us, how much more important is it for us to model that by forgiving them when they fail? How can we expect them to still remember all the valuable lessons that we've taught them when we quickly forget all of the joy that they've brought into our lives when we're blindsided by their rebellion? In other words, what lessons are you teaching your kids even when you're not sitting them down and explaining things to them? Look, all I know is this. I came home from work a couple of days ago to the racket of bass and treble pulsating from my son's bedroom. His music was so loud, it was literally echoing throughout the entire house and spilling out into the neighborhood. The only thing that was louder than his music was his own voice straining to sing outside of his natural register. And I smiled as I heard him get to the chorus. When he strained to sing, "I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways," and no message could have been any clearer. If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and then make a change. For Parent Like You Mean It, I'm Jefferson Drexler.